I'd like now to go through a few handpiece tips to make the life of your handpiece longer and also get extra performance out of it, so it makes your job easier and your gear cuts better. David showed you the grinding, so the most important thing is your gear is sharp. Now we'll try and get the handpiece working the best for you. First thing to look for is thin edges on your ferrules. They wear out occasionally, so they will need replacing eventually. Next thing to go through too is your back cogs. You have to keep them lubricated all the time. Every time you change your cutter, it's a good idea to squirt some oil into it. Don't be scared to splash all around. Another thing is check your back joint guard for wear. They cut every now and again and bust, so be aware of that. The other thing is your back joint spring. If you can feel rattling in the back end, just check for movement sideways in your handpiece. What has happened is every time you put your handpiece down on the board after you're shearing a sheep, it lands on the spring and will eventually stretch. So if this happens, if you notice this rough at the backness, take your spring off, squeeze it together with your hand and replace it, and that will make the handpiece run smoother again. That will also prolong the life of your cogs and your bearings in a smoother running handpiece. If you find movement forwards and backwards in the back joint, it's a sign that your front bearing is wearing and it will need being replaced in the near future. Next we'll move up to the inspection hole. Remove the cap. If you're getting heat in the middle of your hand, first thing to check for is wool wrapped around the crank head, between the crank roller and the crank head. That will create heat. The only way to cool it down is to remove that wool. The easiest way to do it without removing the fork and everything is using your needle. Also look inside your tension nut, make sure your thread is kept clean, same as the thread on the tension bushing screw, so you can apply even pressure with a good feel. Remove your tension sleeve and make sure it moves up and down freely in and out the tension sleeve bush. This will make the handpiece cut and flow a lot better. Some people use grease in the tension sleeve, some people use oil, depends where you're shearing. Out west and over West Aussie where it's sandy conditions, oil does a better job than grease, because as you know, grease and sand make grinding paste which wears out the parts. Where the sheep are clean, if you fill this cap right up with grease, you're laughing. Do not put oil or grease between the tension sleeve and the tension nut, as this will create heat also. Look for wear on your tension pin. If this gets flat, it'll need replacing, because it'll create heat from too much pressure. Do not remove your tension retaining spring. This keeps the pressure on the cutter and will not come off and fly off. Lubricate all moving parts on the handpiece. Remove your chicken feet occasionally, which is hard to do without pliers. Check for wear around here, and the same on the other side. Make sure when your chicken feet are in the handpiece, there's a little bit of movement up and down and round and round. Make sure your comb bed is always flat and clean. Remove your comb screws occasionally and check for cracks. This will cause combs to spring. The Supershear handpiece comes with a screwdriver that's called a knuckle saver screwdriver. This allows you to get a lot of pressure on these screws, so it's very important not to over tighten these, because you will pull the thread straight through the handle. And if you're out in the bush, you're stuck then. So it's a very important thing to do to remember, don't be scared to splash the oil around your handpiece. All moving parts, and this happens every cutter change and every comb change. Parts to oil, your ferrule, cogs, crank roller. While the cutter is off the handpiece, turn the handpiece upside down and squirt oil into your cup and post, and also into your tension sleeve if you're in sandy conditions. Also turn over an oil comb cutter and chicken feet. And don't be scared to splash it all around.